Hello and welcome to the VR Untethered podcast, your VR Untethered source of VR untetheredness on a weekly basis.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Josh and not Brad, and that's Brad and not Josh. Or actually, whichever way he is. I think he's probably over there in the recording, but I don't know. I could be wrong.
Yeah, we'll see what happens at the end. One of us will be over there.
Well, one of us will be there, one of us will be there. Or here.
Or something like that.
I'm always going to be here. He's always going to be either there or there, so yeah.
I like to change places.
Yeah. So, we have some big Oculus Facebook news to be talking about later on in the episode.
Yeah, we better run through everything else.
I'm sure if you are watching us, you are already a VR enthusiast and already know a lot about this. But we got to cover it because it's a current really big topic. So,
yeah. Sorry.
Even though you may be tired of hearing about it.
But it'll give you a chance to rant or rave one way or the other as you scream at us through the screen.
Yeah. Just make sure that you record a reaction video of you just screaming at what we are saying and then post it.
And tell your friends where to find it.
Yeah. So, we have some new games that came out, and I think we have some highlights to talk about this week, too.
I believe we do.
So, Brad, what are your highlights of this week?
Okay, let's see. I did pick up Alcove, and it's a little funky. I like the idea. It's very much like Rooms would have been if they had continued.
Or if they'd had better quality looking environments.
The outdoor environments are amazing. The backyard and the ocean are both really beautiful and very relaxing. So I'll give it that. The TV, it's okay. It's not the best quality, but it's okay for now. And the games, I thought it was a little bit intriguing that most of the games for social interaction are one-player games. That was sort of interesting. Yeah, if you go take a look, you're going to see like two.
No. I know what they are, but like you just said, it's weird that they were either social interaction or one-player games. I'm like,
well, no.
Is there any other kind?
The majority are one-player games.
Okay.
And so it's placed in the interaction section, but 90% of the games are single-player games, which is different. I guess you can share your scores when other people join in. That was the other thing I think that I would have to say about Alcove. The biggest negative was the fact that if you want to post your pictures, it tells you which website to go to post your pictures. If you want to be able to do something else, it's which website you go to something else. But this was designed by ARP for simplicity for seniors. So once you start giving them multiple websites where they have to upload their pictures.
I didn't see multiple websites. Everything's up on the Rendeavor website, isn't it?
Nope, not everything, because then if you need information, the information is at a different website. So it's like there should be one consolidated website is basically what I'm saying.
I'm going to look into that again, but all the websites that you upload a video or a photo to are the Rendeavor website.
Right, but information and technical information is at a different website.
Right, probably because one is their homepage and the other is what they are using to host.
Yeah.
Anyways, what about your highlights of the week, not the new releases? We can talk about this a little bit more in the new releases.
The highlight of the week was maybe, well, it depends on how you want to define highlight, but the announcement from Ninja Legends from CoinFlip. Did you see that? I'm not sure. That they're now, it's about the VAL tournaments.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, and now they've added like 20 games. I think that they said there's 20 plus games, including Ninja Legends and all of these other games that we never really considered athletic.
And Pistol Whip, obviously, Synth Riders, all the ones that we do normally consider in there, but also some that we don't normally consider a fitness title. You're right.
Right. So it was like, okay, that's an interesting one because it is similar to Iron Lights in that respect, but broader.
Right.
And it made me realize how many games I've taken for granted since the beginning.
Well,
That,
yeah. Well, the Ninja Legends I've always thought was uh, a fitness title because you are doing, you know,
well,
all that
I
stuff
also
with it.
played a lot of the archery in it as well. So that was,
Well, yeah. Well,
uh,
that's still, holding your arm out like that, so it gets tiring, and that burns the calories.
I know when I
So,
saw Elven Assassin is in there as well, it's
yep.
like, okay, we're really going all out. Anything that involves anything athletic is going in there.
Yep.
So I think that's kind of cool, a
Yeah.
motivator for people. And
I didn't enter into any of them though, because um, I was like, well, last time I was going to do some of this stuff, it had involved why you are fit, and I uninstalled it because it just keeps causing so many issues every time there's an update, and I didn't want to reinstall it. But now that I'm thinking about it, they're using Virtual Athletics League,
mhm.
which makes partnerships with the developer to be able to pull the scores out of the game. So they are probably going off of scores, not off of calories.
I'm sure they're going off the scores, but they also need you to record all of your
Right.
games, and
Yeah.
so that
Yeah.
starts
Yeah.
becoming like, wait, what? Seriously? Every game I have to record? So it's like,
Well, that's in case they suspect or have a cheating incident reported or whatever, right? And they need to look into it. So.
or they want to replay for their replays or
Right.
whatever. I
Yeah.
understand that, but I'm
Yeah.
just saying out of 20 different, and then how many games can you really master to enter a tournament as opposed to just, get in there to play for 2 minutes and
Gotta master them all.
I know, God, Pokemon.
I'll be
So,
the best there never was.
oh, wow, we're going that far back, huh? Okay. The original Pokemon, not evolved. Uh, Other than that, what was my highlight this week? I spent a lot of time watching movies, to be really honest with you. A lot of the Harry
You were
Potter movies.
mentioning in our discussion before the show that you had an actual highlight in VR this week of you were actually playing Beat Saber.
For the first time since January,
That's
since
what I was trying to prompt you
oh, okay.
instead of your normal highlight of, well, all the games that I've bought and haven't played.
Oh, I'm not even going near those. They just keep growing. I'm not even touching those. But the Lincoln Park pack got me back into Beat Saber. I love the new environment. It really changes the game. If you're tired of neon and you want to hang out in a tunnel, it's kind of cool. Lincoln Park, I like them. A lot of their songs sound very similar, which you're going to notice when you play Beat Saber.
Right.
A lot of their songs sound very similar, but they mapped them very, very well, and I really enjoyed it. I have to say it brought me back in and makes me want to go back into all my other rhythm games as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I believe Michael has mentioned that he finds at least some Beat Saber songs. I don't know about all of them, but at least some of them when they're up on the hard and the expert level is he finds that the motions and the targets feel kind of arbitrary and not natural.
Oh, they are arbitrary,
Yeah.
even
Well,
before hard.
well, arbitrary, yes, but not natural or flowing.
Yes, I can see why he would say that because there are some where you just following the up and down motion, and all of a sudden out of nowhere comes the diagonal or the flip, but it comes
Right.
completely out of nowhere. And
Right.
then
Well, that's part of what makes it hard, right?
true, but like he said, it's jarring. And sometimes it's
Right.
not exactly a flow. It's
Right.
sometimes, especially with their music, because their music does tend to be at times mellow and at times jarring. So I guess it
Right.
does fit with that. But I did enjoy it. It was great getting back into Beat Saber, except for my shoulders, which reminded me that I have to take it a little bit easier. And I also want to do that 20-minute in-depth run before it's over.
Right. Right. Um, I was gonna say just real quick before we move on to my highlights. That's one of the differences between a rhythm game and a game that's intended to be a fitness game, like Supernatural, or the one I've been trying out as well is Hitstream. Not only do they not fail you if you miss too many notes, but they try for more of a flow rather than let's see how hard we can make it with unexpected stuff coming at you.
Right.
You know, the Beat Saber and the rhythm games are all like learning the map, learning all the notes where they are, and getting better at it so that you stop failing. But the fitness titles are all about maintaining that flow so you get all the way through the workout.
Right. Totally different objectives.
Yes.
Correct.
Even though they look similar on the surface.
Well, to everybody, you just look like somebody with something stuck to your head with flailing your arms around. So yes, granted, but some of them are definitely more of a workout oriented.
Right.
Some of them are more dance oriented, like Synth Rider as compared to Beat Saber. Beat Saber, you're much more of a Jedi, like you said, who mastered the blocks, whereas Synth Rider is you're dancing. They literally. That's one thing I will say about Linkin Park. They used a lot more of the wall placement to get you to move.
Right.
And that was really good.
Yes, that is cool. That is one thing that I've noticed from a lot of Beat Saber videos, and to a large extent with Synth Riders as well, is most of the walls are easily avoidable and they don't really force you to do a lot of moving or ducking, which is why is pistol whip when you need a leg day.
Pistol whip. Whichever part of your body you choose to use, whether it's squats, whether it's your back, whether it's ducking, whether it's crouching, something's going to hurt. It's definite. That there's no denying. Well, did you see the new grips that they're advertising on online? The pistol grips.
Oh, yeah. So people have been making those themselves for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, some new ones out there now. Yeah. Glockulus was one that I saw, which was like, oh my God, it does look just like a Glock, and it holds.
Yeah, I don't know that I really have a use for one of those because,
you have to be playing only pistol games that day. Otherwise,
as long as you've got it attached.
Right. That's the one thing. I guess the one thing about the controlling, the Kiwi handles or all these debates that we have as to which grips are the best grips to have. If you want to try changing your grips out, it starts to get to be a real pain.
Yeah. So moving on to my highlights. I have absolutely nothing, so let's move on. No. I got back into Skyrim this week, and I finally got out of the. It feels so weird saying dwarven because they're not really dwarves, but they're what called stuff made by them is called dwarven, but they are the Dwemer, which is a type of elf that lives underground, builds stuff, and into machinery and steampunkery and whatnot. Anyways, I was in a abandoned Dwemer ruin, just a dungeon area for a little bit, exploring it, and it has traps like there's a ramp so going up, and there are 3 pressure plates that if you walk on the pressure plate, a rod comes up out of the middle of the track area, sit down the middle of it, and 2 blades are going, and it goes down the track and then back up the track, and it's pretty much an insta-kill.
I gotcha. So do you see the plates before you hit them, or is it just memorize them? Oh.
Yeah. I mean, if you're not looking for them, you can overlook it, just like anything. But yeah, they are visible. And then I made some more progress in the College of Winterhold to quest line areas, and I learned a few new spells, killed another dragon, and there was a dragon priest, and I used my Fusroda shout to shove the dragon priest off of a cliff, where he didn't die, he was still at full health. But it made it really easy for me to take him out, because I then switched to my bow and arrow using a bow that had fire enchantment on it, so that it would set the target on fire. I'm up here. He is way down here. He's casting the fireball spells at me, and then I hitting here and splashing, so they're doing absolutely no damage to me. And I'm over there going periodically healing my follower, because she is getting damaged by that.
Okay.
I was traumatized by the repeated deaths of my first follower, Lydia. She kept dying and dying, and I was like, you know what? I'm not going to keep going back to an earlier save point each time.
I know.
I'm getting tired of tracing everything just to keep her alive.
Is this one staying alive at least? I know you were trying to protect this new follower.
Yeah. She is staying alive so far, yeah. But that's also because I finally figured out how to give her stuff. So she's got a big horned helmet on, and she's got a bow and arrow, and she's got a shield, and she's got armor. And
so you left Lydia to die. That was like.
Well, no, I didn't know, because there wasn't a,
I know the family's not going to forgive you for not knowing, Josh. That was.
She was part of my family. She was my house Carl.
I know, we all mourn Lydia. I mean, it's.
Meanwhile, I've seen other people playing the whole game with Lydia with them the entire time.
That's a little frustrating, huh?
Yeah. Well, she's just the first follower, or one of the first followers that you can get in the game. Not necessarily the best one or whatever, but she's one of the first ones. So.
That's great that you're still having fun with that. That's the one thing I think I miss on the Quest, is a game with that type of depth.
Right. Yeah. There are a few that try for that, but yeah. So far everything is a little bit more limited. And yeah,
repetition isn't depth.
Yeah, I mean, I really loved Apex Construct, but that was a very limited game. It had a lot of depth for what it was. A lot of depth in it of the story and the world building, but I don't know that they could have expanded it into an open world type of game. They would have had to change the backstory of it.
Yeah, that does seem to be when they get to multiplayer and open world, they both present their own issues.
Right. And you are right. I would love to have a truly open world game on the Quest. And yes, I know we have Orbis, but it's not really open world. It's not. It is trying to be, but it's not quite got the depth of even Diablo, really.
Right. Open world doesn't just mean I have a long time to get from place to place before anything happens. That's not the idea of open world.
Right.
So, that's one game I have yet to really jump back into at all since the good old days when we first started with Orbis, because graphics are just they're not doing enough, especially compared to what.
And I mean, to an extent, graphics don't matter, but when the gameplay itself is not quite where it needs to be, and the graphics are not. Yeah,
you start losing it.
I mean, honestly, I have moments in Skyrim, where everything goes so fuzzy and so pixelated for a little bit because I'm just streaming it over my Wi-Fi, you know,
Right.
and that happens periodically, just like it happens with our video here, you know, or say YouTube video, or but the gameplay pulls me in enough that I don't really care.
Exactly.
And Carnage Chronicles, much simpler graphics than Skyrim. It's much more cartoony looking, but in a good way, and it pulls me in just as much,
But that is something. It's like
and it's also a more limited depth of story in that one too. Kind of goes with the graphics, if you think about it. But still, the level of the graphics are not. So my son going, well, who are you talking to, or something? I don't know.
Right. This is something new.
Yes. The graphics do not detract from me being in there. So.
No, I understand. I've played games where the graphics are very limited, and it's not. If the gameplay is great and the immersion, I mean, it's not like Gravity Lab is getting into the bridge of the Starship Enterprise, and
right.
But it is still. Well, I hate to say this, but I've only made it as far as the reception area. I only played for a few minutes, and it's telling me to look for the micro cards to get into the testing area, and I can't find the micro cards.
Oh, they're really easy to find.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Where are they?
Well, unless things changed from the last time the beta tested, and I guess now is a good time to transition into our new releases, because this is one of the new releases. Unless things changed from the last time beta tested, after you do all the movement tutorial stuff, you basically go to that back corner wall, and so stuff is there, or it's a button on your controller for a shortcut to do things.
No, it's changed.
Okay, well, I will have to check it out then, and then I will explainify what to do to you later.
I would appreciate that, because I felt like it's like, okay, if I can't get into the lab, this is going to be rough. So that was
so that's why there wasn't responding. Okay. So anyways, Gravity Lab is out, and it is $14.99. I got it for free because I was a beta tester. So, and obviously things have changed a little bit since the last time I actively looked at it, which means that I need to look at it and get up to date on it. But it is a puzzle game, kind of like Gadgeteer, where you have to create chains of reactions and things to get stuff from one point to another point. In Gravity Lab, though, instead of using dominoes and other stuff, you are using gravity. You have a device that the different shapes to drop into and then launch out of, and they fly across the room. Later on, you get other devices that can reverse gravity and make them float up, or they can make them heavier so they float down. And you can put things that block and redirect, so it shoots here and it bounces off and goes over that way. And so basically, you have to get a certain number of the balls or the cubes or whatever to the right target.
Right. With a robot voice that, is pretty snarky.
Yes.
And the other thing is that, some of the stuff that you're going to be doing, at one point I jumped into the sandbox just to take a look, and I saw the variety of apparatus, the apparati that you have.
Yes.
And oh my God, I jumped out of the sandbox immediately. It's like, I need to play this for a few minutes first before I even go near the sandbox, because it doesn't just play with gravity, it alters it to the point of bending your mind,
Right. Um, Now, so this was a PC VR title originally, and this is a Quest port that has been worked on, I want to say, for at least 7 months, if not more. So
This was an
it's been a
index.
long time in the making.
This was an index test originally, Gravity Lab, I think. For
It was on the Rift too.
yeah, so I don't know, but yeah, it really looks like a good game, and
Yeah,
Gadgeteer does look good, but it's certainly different. I mean, with
yeah,
Gadgeteer, you're working with regular gravity, and then the nice thing is you can create these Rube Goldberg type of
right.
things. In Gravity Lab, you're going to be a scientist here. This is a bit more effort
Yeah,
needs to be put in to
yeah,
figure out what's going on.
yeah. So it's going to be Nicola Goldberg instead of Rube Goldberg.
Exactly, exactly. Or Rube
Or
Tesla.
Rube Tesla, yeah.
Knew you'd get there. I had a rush.
Never know. So, another new title that we had was Alcove VR. It
Which
came
I
out.
will discuss.
And it was created by the AARP, basically. So it's intended to be a kind of a familiar-looking environment for families and friends to be hanging out with each other in VR and socializing. And while I wish that they would have included a smooth locomotion, given that the kind of official target market contains a lot of seniors that might be in the care homes, teleportation is probably the best option.
Also, if you don't have full room space,
Right,
and it is meant for a gathering of people, so more than just one or
right,
two at some point.
right,
So,
right.
yeah,
Yeah,
teleport.
it's got a large TV that has a few preloaded videos for you to watch. They're not on your device, but they are on their website that you can then, as we alluded to earlier, log into with your regular computer or have a family member log into it and upload home videos to it or whatever, and then you can watch them on the big screen TV in VR. There is an interaction table which has games, and yes, not all of them are uh, social games. So there are some that are intended to be, because checkers is pretty much a game that you need some sort of an opponent for.
But
They've also got brain training games
correct.
in there. And when I checked it out this past weekend and week here, I was reminded that I'd been impressed originally that, well, because so this was one of the first non-Oculus titles that was using the deep linking stuff to be able to launch other titles. And it linked into games and exercises from Enhance, which is a title that's available on SideQuest. I didn't to give that a try. If I remember right from when it was on the Go and the Gear VR, if you didn't have the title installed that it had the deep link to, it said you needed to install it, basically. It gave you a message of some sort about that, because it doesn't actually have that portion of that other title included in Alcove. It's just a link to jump into the game and have your friends follow you.
Right. It does say in-app purchases when you enter there. So
Right. And it has a link to jump into Wander. It has some 360-degree videos to watch of various balloon riding, swimming with the dolphins, swimming with the sharks under the water, all that sort of stuff. It's got some meditation stuff, some workout and exercise video stuff, and it's got a lot of neat little touches in there that should make it good for its intended market.
Exactly.
Yeah, and honestly, if more of my extended family back on the other side of the U.S. Had VR, it might be a fun place to hang out with them.
Right. That's exactly what I was thinking. If you have enough people that have these headsets, it's great. In the meantime.
Yeah. As far as I'm aware, there's not a way to access it via flat screen, but I'm not sure.
I think they said
I have not looked into that.
I think there is.
Okay.
But I didn't go follow the information link, so
Right.
but I did read somewhere that it did have an interaction with a flat screen. Somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. Well, that would be a nice feature then, because not everyone's going to have a VR device to jump in with you. However, one slightly disappointing thing is that it's pretty much just a port of what they already had. It looks identical pretty much to the Go and Gear VR version. Which was already really good looking, so
exactly.
it's not a graphical downgrade at all. So that's not what I mean. But I don't see that they added anything really to it. So
yeah, right now I think it's just like you said. Aside from being a port, I think it's going to be a portal. But at this point, nothing that's completed yet. Certainly more fun than half and half.
Yes.
Not in the venue's beta.
Another new title that we had was part of the World Humanitarian Day, Home After War, and a free VR experience that, frankly, from the description, looks a little traumatizing.
It does. I would not want to actually experience what they tell me I would be experiencing.
Yeah, it's like he comes home and finds that there's a bomb.
An IED.
Something, right. Or
It's like, oh, nice. It's great. Yeah.
So, yeah. But it is free and a new release, so here you go.
If you wish to be traumatized, it's free.
Yeah. That's like a Philip K. Dick story. We traumatize you for free.
That does sound like a Philip K. Dick story. The electric sheep. No, anyway.
And the last new release that I wanted to mention is Police Response VR Disturbance. It's a Steam title. We had the developer drop into the MVR Discord, which there is a link in the description if you want to join that. And to say that it was coming out Friday. And he offered a few keys. I got one and I checked it out last night. And what it is it's a standing only. It's not a room scale. There's no movement. It's not even a teleportation. Yes. And you accompany another officer to a disturbance at a residence. You're a police officer in the UK. And first you have to go through orientation on your weapons, which are basically floating in front of you, approximately where they would actually be on your actual vest. So you have handcuffs up here, a tear gas spray thing here, or a pepper spray. A taser down on your left hip and a gun down on your right hip, unless you are left-handed, and then those two are reversed. And then you go to the disturbance, and the door is always unsecured, so you to poke it open with your big giant blue hand. And then the AI police officer who is on your left does all of the talking. Your job is to react appropriately and with the right level of force or no force. So if you pull out your handcuffs, that will prompt the other officer to attempt an arrest or whatever. If you pull out the pepper spray, you can then spray the person on the inside. And not all of these scenarios are going to escalate into I need to shoot or taser or even do anything. Some of them you just need to let it wind down. Others you need to try to make an arrest. Others you would need to use tear gas or the taser or the gun. But the ones where you need to use the gun, I found those the hardest ones because it suffers the problem that a lot of titles seem to have that are not made specifically with the Oculus touch controllers in mind. My hand is like this in reality, and the game is like this.
Mm.
So I think that I am aiming at the person with the gun. In reality, I'm aiming like a foot over their head.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So I have to pretend that I'm aiming down at their feet in order to hit the chest. And when they all of a sudden rush at you, you don't have the time to remember, oh yeah, aim down. You're already dead. So, or medically retired.
So, would you say that this game is an experience or the beginning of a training program? Or,
it's a game to progress, and each successful encounter you have, you shave a year off until your retirement. So, you have 29 years of retirement, and then you have another successful encounter, and then now you've got 28 years until retirement. So there is a progression. It's not a very deep game necessarily, and I haven't seen a leaderboard or anything on it yet, but it's a fun little, I guess, experience kind of game, and trying to choose the right response in a very limited amount of time.
Right.
And it kind of like a training. It's kind of like I guess empathy building, a day in the life of, to put yourself in their shoes,
Mm.
So.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like something.
Or you can be like some of the YouTubers that I watched trying the game, and they were like, poke open the door, the other officer goes, "Hello, I have reports of a disturbance here. Can you tell what's going on?" "What? I have a disturbance in my spray."
Well, that would make it
fail.
Right. Yes, but if the courts look the other way,
Like,
yeah,
that's not playing the game right.
It also sounds like the timing is interesting politically for this type of game, but we'll see what happens with it. It sounds like it needs some work, honestly.
Well,
I
don't know if there are any plans on developing it and fleshing it out more, but it's a fun little game. It's also relatively cheap. I think it's like $5 or $6 or something like that on the Steam store. So,
okay.
hey, now moving on to the big news of the day.
Uh-oh. This is going to be long, folks, so let's keep this.
Well, we're already running along. It's almost 40 minutes already.
I know, that's why I was getting nervous. We have a 3-hour subject ahead of us.
Well, it could be a 3-hour subject, honestly, but we're not going to make it take that long. Don't worry. Starting in October, Oculus or Facebookulus is sunsetting the Oculus login.
Oh, God. It's not just sunsetting the Oculus login. Facebook is now openly going against their written guarantee to the people who were...
Technically, it wasn't their written guarantee. It was Palmer Luckey who reported it, but he was reporting based on what he was told by them. So
while he was still working there.
Yes.
So this is nothing new. And
I mean, honestly, if you didn't see this coming at some point, you were being an ostrich, so sticking your head in the sand. So
right, but look at what they're doing.
Yes.
At this point, Facebook, if you look at what they're doing, it's not just Oculus. This is the way that they're incorporating their entire social platform, because they're merging WhatsApp with Messenger while they're doing this. So all of their social platforms are going to be intermixed. The problem that they are going to have, very simply, is that if somebody wants to use Facebook, that's fine. If somebody wants to use Instagram or any of their other, social platforms, that's fine. When it comes to gaming, I don't think that people want to have their interest in gaming with their real name associated with it as something that's now open to the world.
Well, they've also already begun implementing a solution to that. Again, it requires extending a little bit of trust to them, but in Facebook groups, they have already begun some of the Facebook groups who can interact in the group with your Oculus username, not your Facebook name. And in theory, you cannot backtrack from the Oculus name to the Facebook name. So they already have a system in place that is being fully fleshed out still, but there is a system in place to keep gamer privacy a little bit, even though it's tied to the actual Facebook account. You would be able to have all of your gaming stuff under your Oculus the gamer tag, rather than under your Facebook name. But given that 2 years from now they'll be getting rid of Oculus entirely in the login process. I don't know how that will affect it then, if they'll transition everything to a gamer tag or if they'll just merge it with the real name. I don't know at that point, but for now there should still be that option. And before we get too much further into this, the news is starting in October, new users will have to have a Facebook account to log in and use the Oculus Quest or the Oculus Rift or the Oculus Go, I suppose. And then there will be 2 years, starting January 2023. You will not be able to log in with an Oculus account. They will make it so that if you don't want to merge, you can still use it, but you won't have full functionality. Obviously, you won't have the social and you won't have the Oculus apps, and probably by then every app will be just relying on the Facebook login and not the Oculus login. So it would probably not be terribly usable, but you could, in theory, still sideload stuff that didn't use Facebook, but uh,
Yeah.
but also 2 years from now, there's going to be a new device too. It's definitely by then.
Well, yeah.
But you have that 2-year period to decide if you are merging your Oculus account with a Facebook account or not.
Which I think.
And this is obviously most of the discussion out there right now is how this affects the consumers who don't want to use Facebook for various political, philosophical, social, moral, whatever reasons. So,
Well, I think one of the things is when somebody tells you that they're not going to use your data in one way and does,
right,
that sort of loses. They didn't have much trust to begin with.
right. Well,
So they broke whatever trust they had.
yeah. So far until this move, a lot of people were extending them the benefit of the doubt because they were still mostly doing right by Oculus and the gaming.
Correct.
But now they've broken that promise of not requiring a Facebook login for Rift. And technically, they weren't really requiring a Facebook login for the Quest either. You
Unless
could use it with
it.
Oculus only.
Right. But still,
But on the other hand, it makes sense for them to simplify and consolidate things. Like if you are playing a game on an Xbox, you're not using a PlayStation login on your Xbox. You're using an Xbox login.
Well, yeah, but Xbox is like moving towards Android and looking to, Microsoft itself is looking to incorporate itself with Android and make the merger between the two platforms. And you have the fights going on now between Apple and Fortnite, and
right, but
there's a lot of wars coming up.
It's interesting timing, and I suspect it will probably be used as evidence a few years from now in an antitrust lawsuit against them, and
Of course, but it does open on a personal level. It opens up the next 2 years to anybody that wants to fill the void of a non-social platforming based gaming console.
True.
Now,
not everyone is going to be bothered by this though either. So, but you are right. It does open the door to someone putting out a halfway decent severe gaming console and calling it not Oculus.
Or Sony coming out with their wireless and having access to the entire Sony library from PlayStation as well as their movies.
Yeah. So, or Valve, so they could jump in the fray too.
Valve is really weird though.
But they're probably not going to, I think. But they could.
They could. It depends on how they're positioned. I think they've been moving towards enterprise at this point. So
a lot of the companies have been. Yeah. Now, speaking of enterprise, this is not yet affecting Oculus for business.
Yeah.
It probably will at some point, obviously, but for now, it's not really affecting Oculus for business, which is good because that's new as of 3 months ago or something like that.
Maybe 6. We've lost timing a little bit during this. So,
but if you are using Oculus for business, using it in an enterprise way, for now, nothing's going to be changing on that. It remains to be seen if that changes at a later date. Also, if you are a developer, things are not changing too much, except that the Facebook login will be required to have full access, but you will still be able to have a test user that isn't the real user and so it doesn't have a Facebook account or whatever. You will still be able to sideload apps and whatnot, and, because that's built in to the Android operating system. So there's not a whole lot changing there, except the Facebook account login will be required. And if you choose not to do it for the 2 years, you'll just be shooting yourself in the foot a little bit in terms of productivity, but you could still develop entirely outside of the Oculus ecosystem and use SideQuest to get it on to the device and to test it and all that, and then publish it to the Oculus Store at a later date, or but really, you'll want to get a Facebook login also if you're a developer, and it's probably going to be more required that as a developer you have a Facebook login, because you can't really choose to ignore the largest VR platform.
No.
Over a philosophical difference, Well,
not at this point, but we have 2 years to see where it goes.
Right.
So.
And as far as SideQuest goes, again, that is built in to the Android operating system that underlies the Oculus VR. So unless and until Facebook comes up with their own OS,
which they're working on,
which they probably are working on, but until and unless they do that, you will still be able to sideload, because that's using the Android to debug bridge. That's what ADB stands for, Android Debug Bridge. Mm-hmm. And that's built into Android so that you can install apps as a developer and test them. If you couldn't get the apps onto an actual device, you can't really develop very well. So that is built in. That will not go away. The only thing they could do, if they really wanted to, is put in their terms of service that is against their terms of service to use SideQuest. But honestly, I don't really see them doing that. The SideQuest is too beneficial right now. And they are working on that easier way of getting non-Oculus games in there. One method that I think Tony Scarred Ghost commented on his blog with is you'll be able to upload your game into their store, so basically, and then just have like a link or key access sort of thing.
Right. Well, that's the only way to really make it function. Right. Because at this point, you have to have the computer to download it in ADB and all the other friction that they're putting in between.
Right. But the core SideQuest app with the side loading with the cable is still going to work also. That's not going to go away, because it's built in.
Right. So. Like you said, for now, depending on the operating system. The only thing is, once again, once a company breaks its promise,
I know
it's really difficult.
It's hard for them to regain trust. I know.
So,
and I don't know. Personally, I'm disappointed with the breaking of the promise, but at the same time, it's something that I'm kind of surprised that they hadn't already done, and it makes sense for them. I can see why they want to, and all that. I can understand it, and they've already got all of our data from the Oculus login.
And that's the other great part. Is this could have been seamless? This could have just been a check mark. Do you agree to Facebook? Click. Done, and so I don't understand why they want to make it like this either.
I don't know. Anyway, moving on to our next bit of news, now that we have 8 minutes to get through all the rest of it.
Okay. magically? Do you want to go right to them or?
FXGVR.com and Huawei entice VR devs to port to Huawei's VR store by offering to pay them to develop and port their apps to Huawei's VR store and break into the China market, which is cool and all, and I'm sure that will expand people's market, but at the same time, it's China, which is huge, draconian, totalitarian, the government in the hands of everything tech. I
It makes Facebook
If I
look
were a dev, I would hesitate because what would I have to put into my software to get it into the China market?
good
What would
luck.
I have to take out of my software in order to have it be accepted by the government over there?
What permissions do you have to put in that are,
Right,
oh
right,
my God. Yeah,
right,
no, I wouldn't want to see. That's just it. It's like, look at TikTok. Look at any of the Chinese-based social platforms, and none of them are safe.
no,
Absolutely none of them. And I guarantee you, our phones aren't safe because they have components that we haven't examined thoroughly.
right,
So why a developer would want to do this? As it is now, if I go to download a game and it's from anything behind the Soviet Union or in China, I
right.
hesitate a lot.
Yeah, I know. And I was reading an article that I think I retweeted a few days ago. It was a long article from the Atlantic about China being all in on technology and the surveillance state and using deep learning and AI,
Oh,
and predictive algorithms, to
they're there.
detect thought crime and pre-crime and
Right.
all the dystopian stuff.
Welcome to my
It's
knowledge.
already being worked on in China.
Exactly. And this is what there is to fear. That's the
Yes,
point.
yes,
So
and this is what is, that's kind of a little bit ironic because people kind of view Facebook as doing all this, but really they are hampered a lot by existing laws and regulations here in the U.S. that prevent that and protect freedom. Those laws and regulations could stand improving and updating to the current modern situation, yes, but there's still a lot of the protection against that in China they don't have.
right. I mean, EU makes us look really backward, and China is, the poster boy for don't use AI, please. Get it out of the
Right.
hands of the government.
Yeah, I mean they're working on face recognition over there that will recognize you even with one of these on.
Yep.
You know?
Which, to be honest with you, uh, just as an aside, I remember 8 months ago you couldn't walk into the bank with sunglasses on, or a
Yeah,
hat
yeah. And now you can walk in with a mask and sunglasses and a
and
hat
the hat, right? And it's just like, can I help you,
and
sir?
gloves.
Right? It's
I know.
it's absolutely crazy.
I
So
feel like a bank robber going in anywhere. Uh, so, anyways, Digi Catapult partners with SideQuest and North Ireland Screen as that company says some sort over there. I'm not sure what it is to run a VR hand tracking hackathon in September. So that's cool. I wonder what what innovations might that come from that, or what cool small demo apps, So I'm sure because they're working with SideQuest on it, they'll all be on the SideQuest store.
yeah, it sounds like that's
So,
definitely yeah, right. If it's a Netflix original, you could pretty much plan on
yeah,
finding it on Netflix. So
yeah. And the news you were alluding to, a group of former Magic Leap employees form NZXR, which is a new development studio for VR. Um, they describe themselves as a collective of expert game developers who spent 5 years creating rich XR experiences for Magic Leap. We worked hand in hand with hardware and platform development to bring it to life as the premier spatial computing paradigm. Alongside our colleagues at What a Workshop, we developed the world's first long-form mixed reality action game, Dr. Gordbort's Invaders, followed by a variety of multi-user experiences and applications. Our team has previously worked on titles ranging from AAA blockbusters to top-grossing mobile games, accumulating over 160 years of combined experience.
Yeah, 160 years of combined. Anyway, Dr. Grodbot's was
Gordbort.
Gordbort looked fantastic.
Yeah.
Whatever his name is. That really did look fantastic. You know, bringing the portals into this world, being able to go into their world. That looked like the only game that Magic Leap ever really did develop. So, and Weta, for what they did with Lord of the Rings and their ability to do 3D is amazing. So I can imagine that if they ever get together and develop a headset that costs less than $3,500, we might see something really good coming out. Until then...
I hadn't seen anything on there specifying hardware stuff. This is a software studio from the looks of it.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah,
but I see like PolyArc is developing now for AR, and there's a lot of companies developing for AR.
So could we maybe see on the Unreal Light when it comes out? No, it's a few months later. There's an NZXR game on there, or a port of Dr. Gordbort maybe, or who knows?
A port of Dr. Gord. If that ported out, those glasses would sell. Right now, the field of view on the glasses is really what's holding me back. They have to get closer to 120 degrees.
I mean, this here has a higher field of view than most AR glasses out.
Exactly. So it's crazy. That really, and the price of them when they start getting any sort of periphery is just insane. Yeah. So we're ways away from enjoying things like that on a daily basis.
Yeah. Speaking of graphical quality and all that stuff, though, NVIDIA Deep Learning Upscaler is there was a video showing it being used in real time, and Nimsoni on Twitter shared that and shared speculations about it being used to make 8K VR experiences possible on existing hardware. Because it's a real-time upscaling algorithm, so basically.
We'll have to see what happens, because I was just reading the article that's saying that ray tracing has just died as far as what they were actually trying to do with it. And we have, I mean, I love NVIDIA. I think what they've done for graphics is changed the computing platform as much as Microsoft changed it or anybody else. But they've had some great hits and they've had some misses, so we have to really see where they go with this. I'd love to see this happen. So
I mean, and so Facebook has been working on their own upscaling algorithm. Whichever one wins out is the one that's going to be used. Whichever gets there first, whichever runs on the lowest common denominator. That's the one that's probably going to win.
Right.
So. And for better or for worse, it may be Facebook, or it may be NVIDIA. It all depends who gets there first.
Could be Google.
True, but then Google would abandon it 2 months later.
True. Talking about abandoning things. Yes, exactly. So let's not put it in the hands of Google for right now.
Yeah. I love Google for all the innovations that they've done, but they have a history of abandoning things. So, I still remember, on a side note, I used to be a Google Help Out person, and I was starting to make money from it. It ended.
I had the Zenfone AR with the original programming for. It's worth nothing now. Nothing runs on that anymore. Now that they've
Yeah.
gone to RCore and RKit, they abandoned what they had before, which was better
Right.
for something that
The
you
Project Tango.
right,
Yeah. 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 They kept the software side of that and got rid of the hardware side.
right, which is absolutely insane because the hardware was what made the software so good. So
Right. Right. And they still haven't come out with, as far as I know, Project Solely, which is the miniaturized radar.
right,
No.
like the LiDAR
Well,
idea.
yeah, but I mean, the miniaturized radar stuff, that would have been perfect for VR and AR. I mean, just wear a wristband with it on it, and the range of it extends like out to here, and it could, in theory, detect just doing this, making a circle with your thumb on your index fingertip.
It seems to be what Apple is working on. They
Yeah,
seem to have really taken over on that for
yeah,
whatever reason. Once again, we said Google tends to leave things in the dust, so they
right,
took it to a
right.
great idea with
I
Soul.
mean,
And then,
I I saw that way back in the Google Cardboard his King days,
Mhm.
and I was like, that would work great with the Gear VR. Have a wristband that have that on it. Have some sort of Bluetooth connectivity for the tracking or whatever, you know. But yeah,
I know it just seems like they go in one direction, they're getting into a certain groove, and then all of a sudden they change directions
right.
and stand still for like 6 months while they're
Yeah,
headed off. So
yeah. Next bit of news. Stones of Harlath has a new teaser video for a new area in their game. Uh, Grape Gum Grotto or something like that. And I'm still about the game. The environments look cool. The drawing of the spells looks cool and well done. But then the enemies are flat 8-bit sprites. All
uh,
the NPCs are flat 8-bit sprites.
this is what turned me off from Pixel Rip 95 was
Yeah,
just if I wanted to go retro, I wouldn't have gone forward. I'd go backwards.
right,
So the idea of having to go into my Quest in order to be able to look at my hands in 16-bit
right,
flat, just
right.
so yeah.
So, I mean, I like the gesture based and all that, but I just don't know that I like the flat sprites used.
I
Everything
don't.
else about it looks cool.
Right.
Just the flat sprites. It kind of turns me off.
So
And I know I'm probably being picky and overly critical, but
no, I think at this point we have the.
it's my personal opinion. So
That's what I said. At this point, we have the right. It's not like VR just came out this week and we're being harsh on these guys.
right,
It's
right.
like we've seen the miracles that they've done on the mobile VR processing.
Mm-hmm.
The PC VR is not moving nearly as quickly as mobile
Right.
is moving. So
Right.
that becomes a really, and then I was reading some weird subject today. I believe it was from Tech Radar, where the guy talked about how he's fallen out of love with VR and he used the Vive and the Vive Pro, and now he just tried the Cosmo. And, I'm reading it and
He's only trying HTC stuff?
well, that's just it. It's like, wait, have you tried a Quest?
Exactly.
Do you want to see frictionless? Really frictionless?
On the other hand, I see in the Oculus Quest, the Facebook group that I'm in, run by the Tycho Tech, um, every now and then someone pops in and goes, "Hey, is there anything new that'll make me take my Quest out of storage?"
Only every Thursday.
I'm like, how picky is that guy?
Yeah, I would have to say if you'd like some games, I have a library you could look through, and
And
I don't get it.
play
I
them
really
for
don't.
you.
Exactly, exactly. I'll play them for you, upload them, and you don't have to bother. But it really is crazy. The Quest has so many games in their library at this point that anybody saying that they need something new
Right.
is really looking for it.
Well, it's not necessarily said something new, but said something good that holds his interest and ties him to the quest so that he can't leave. And I'm
Guys,
like, that's all personal preference.
well,
If,
I was going to say there are people that say they're
yeah,
like shooty skies. Shooty
yeah,
skies. They're talking about how this has finally gotten them into VR. There's finally a game that. Shooty skies? Really? This is the game that gets you into VR? Uh, Real hardcore
hey, yeah,
gamer,
it
you
takes
know?
all kinds, right? It takes all
So,
kinds.
right. That's why when you read the reviews, you really have to be careful because if when you see all those 5-star reviews for some games that are basically the equivalent of Candyland, you got to really wonder what it is they're looking for in VR. You know,
They're looking for Candyland. They
not
want to find Sugar Plum Mountain.
uh-oh. We have to find a way for them to fall down and shoot some ladders and really just
Yes. So, our last bit of news. Link with a Y and a C, not an I and a K. The Kickstarter for VR. I don't know what VR is other than Battle Royale, which may be interesting, but VR bike riding. A bike riding Battle Royale game, that might be interesting.
be
Though.
interesting. We'll have to ask
I don't know.
BizFit if there's something like that. But isn't that
Yeah,
similar to this?
VR bike riding Battle Royale is where you run into the other people with your bikes.
Gosh.
And you got spikes you can attach to them, and guns.
And then the police show up in police and they pepper spray you.
But no, this is like VZ Fit, obviously, but it's a little bit different in that you use a regular bike with it. You're not using an exercise bike. You use a regular bike. It's got a mount for the front wheel to go on, and that can turn when you turn your wheel. And it's got a stand for the back wheel to be propped up off of the ground, everything level, obviously.
Mhm.
And then a sensor to just like in VZ-Fit to attach to the hub of the back wheel. And you can then ride your bike in VR, and unfortunately, all the pictures are showing using one of these, an Oculus Go. So hopefully they also have a Quest app for it, because the Go is not going to be around past the end of this year, really. But regardless, outside of that,
Look for the clearance sale in January, folks.
yes, this promises to allow you to have open world VR bike riding, because you can turn your front wheel so you can control where you go.
Mm-hmm.
The Fit is either you're on a straight track or you're on rails where the game turns for you.
Right.
The disc, though, if you want to turn and go off road, you can turn and go off road as long as there's environment for you to drive on or to ride on.
If you've ever watched An American Werewolf in London, you never leave the road.
What about a British werewolf in New York?
I have to think about that. But I wouldn't leave the road anyway.
Yeah. He would fit right in. He'd just go and be part of the Wolves of Wall Street.
Yeah, we'll get Warren Levon to sing a song.
So this looks like a promising and honestly more enjoyable version of VZ Fit. and I fully expect Mr. Philip Joel, once he realizes it exists, to go out and buy it.
Right. And hook up the Woodger vest and
yeah. My computer mouse for my other computer the battery died, so I can't get back to the tab with the description of it. But if I remember right, the here we are. I'll just pull it up here real quick. I think that the bottom tier is like $75. No. Come on. It's still loading here. Here we go. Pledge 119 Canadian or more, and you get one copy of it. So 119 Canadian probably works out to about 75 US or something like that.
probably close to 85, hopefully.
Right.
But
Right.
yeah.
But yeah, it's a relatively affordable at the discounted Kickstarter price. I don't know what the full price is going to be. Estimated delivery is January 2021.
Estimated time of death of the Go is January 2021.
Yeah.
It's sort of
I know. Yes. So, but yeah, it looks fairly promising. Here, I'm gonna do a quick screen share so you can see what the front wheel sits on.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
And
so
that turns and rotates when you turn the wheel. So, and there shows it in use with the awesome Oculus Go.
revolutionizing VR.
Yes. So, but yeah, it looks like a promising variation on VZ Fit.
Right.
So, and hey, competition is always good.
Oh, I agree 100%. So,
Well, I agree 110%.
I can't match that. I'm sorry. My math teacher told me that I couldn't do that, so I'm just going to forget about that whole extra 10% there.
Yeah. So that brings us to the end of our news and our show. So with no further ado, please like, subscribe, drag your friends into VR, and sign them into YouTube in the Oculus browser so that they can then like, subscribe, and watch in VR.
What an amazing development.
Have a great weekend or the rest of your week whenever you watch this. Bye.
Bye.